Hello everyone, how are you all? So myself Himanshu Pandey, your organic chemistry and inorganic chemistry faculty. So I'm going to start a new topic from inorganic chemistry, very interesting topic, very well known topic, that is chemical bonding. One of the most important topic for chemistry, that is chemical bonding. Okay, so now first of all, we have to know what is the basic definition of chemical bonding. So we have to know what is the basic definition of chemical bond first, then we will try to know what is the chemical bonding. So attractive forces which hold together two or more than two atoms, groups of ions, known as chemical bond. I am writing the definition right now. Attractive forces, attractive forces which hold together two or more than two or more than two atoms, groups or ions, known as chemical bond, and the process for the formation of chemical bond known as chemical bonding. Process for the formation of chemical bond, I'm just writing the definition right now. Chemical bond known as chemical bonding. So this is the basic definition of chemical bond and chemical bonding. So attractive forces which hold together two or more than two atoms, groups or ions, that is known as chemical bond, and the process for the formation of chemical bond known as chemical bonding. Actually chemical bonding is a process of stabilization. So after chemical bonding, a molecule become stabilized. Atoms get combined, molecule form, molecule become stabilized. Molecule become stabilized, it means energy get released. So by the process of chemical bonding, energy released. And if the energy released is more than 42 kilojoule per mole, then I can say there is a formation of chemical bond. So for a formation of a particular chemical bond, energy released by the attraction between two atoms or ions should be more than 42 kilojoule per mole. I am just writing what I am trying to say. If the energy released by the attraction between two atoms, groups or ions greater than 42 kilojoule per mole, then formation of chemical bond occur. Formation of a bond occur. And this bond may be ionic bond, covalent bond and coordinate bond. If the energy release is more than 42 kilojoule per mole, then formation of a bond will occur, and that bond will be ionic, covalent or coordinate. And if the energy released is in between 8 to 42 kilojoule per mole, then it is a weaker attraction, and such weaker attraction known as hydrogen bond. And if energy released is less than 8 kilojoule per mole, then this weaker attraction is known as van der Waal attraction. Now that is known as van der Waal attraction. This is van der Waal attraction. So now I think you can classify what is a particular bond, what is hydrogen bond, and what is van der Waal attraction. If energy released more than 42 kilojoule per mole, then it is a bond. If the energy released is in between 8 to 42 kilojoule per mole, then it is hydrogen bond. And if the energy released is less than 8 kilojoule per mole, then it is weaker attraction, that is van der Waal attraction, and this is the basic definition of chemical bond. Now, so as I have told earlier, chemical bonding is a process of stabilization. So what are the ways to form chemical bond? Just see here. Now chemical bond can be obtained by two different methods. Chemical bond can be formed by two different methods. One is by sharing of electron, and another one is by complete transfer of electron, So bonds obtained by complete transfer of electron known as ionic bond. So this bond is known as ionic bond. This is ionic bond. And by sharing of electron, you can form two ways. Sharing can be occur in two ways. One is by equal sharing. By equal sharing of electron between two atoms, we will form covalent bond. So the bonds formed by equal sharing of electron between two atoms, that is known as chemical bond. And bond formed by unequal sharing of electron between two atoms. Second one is by unequal sharing. And by unequal sharing, you will get coordinate bond. Now, you will get coordinate bond. So sharing can be occur in two ways, equal sharing and unequal sharing. Equal sharing will produce covalent bond, unequal sharing will produce coordinate bond. Equal sharing may be of three types. If sharing of one electron occur between two atoms, that sharing will produce single bond. Two electron between two atoms, that sharing will give double bond. And three electron between two atoms, that sharing will give triple bond. Like this. I am giving you example. Suppose this is the formation of single bond between two chlorine atoms, formation of double bond between two oxygen atoms, that is O2 molecule, and sharing of three electron between two nitrogen atom, that is N2 molecule. So these are the way to form chemical bonds, that is by sharing, by complete transfer. By sharing can be occur in two ways, equal sharing and unequal sharing. And equal sharing may be occur further three more types, single bond, double bond and triple bond. And the basic motto behind the formation of chemical bond to get stability. And when a molecule becomes stabilized, energy get released. Now, first of all, we are going to deal with this ionic bond. What is this ionic bond? We are going to discuss what is ionic bond. Now, moving toward ionic bond, we have to know the basic definition of ionic bond. Ionic bond. What is the meaning of ionic bond? So bonds obtained by complete transfer of electron between metal and non-metal in order to gain stability by getting inert gas configuration. So bonds obtained by, I'm just repeating the definition of ionic bond. So bonds obtained by, I'm just writing the definition. Bonds obtained by complete transfer of electron, between metal and non-metal, in order to attain nearest inert gas configuration, gas configuration for stability. So this is the basic definition of ionic bond. I am just taking one example of this ionic bond. Suppose this is NaCl. NaCl, Na plus Cl minus. Now see how the formation of ionic bond occur in NaCl. Na is 281. This is Na and Na is 281. The configuration of sodium is 281. This is 2s2, 2p6 and 3s1. Again I can write like this. This is 2p6 and this is 3s1. Now Cl is 287. Now last electron of Cl is in third cell and the configuration of third cell will be 3s2, 3p5. Now p subcell have 5 electron. This is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now Cl want one more electron. Now this sodium transfers this electron to Cl. Now shifting of electron occur and sodium transferring electron, so sodium become positively charged. Cl accepting electron. Now Cl become 3p6 by accepting electron. Cl is 3p5 right now. By accepting electron it will become 3p6 or it will become 288. 288. Now Cl will become neon. Cl will become not neon. This is argon. And by donating electron, sodium will become 28. 28 become neon. Now you can see neon and argon both are stabilized. So sodium get converted in the form of neon. Cl get converted in the form of argon. Both become stabilized. And now Cl become negatively charged. So sodium is now donating electron and Cl is accepting electron. So Cl become negatively charged. Sodium become positively charged. Now these two atoms are in gaseous state. And when a gaseous cation and gaseous anion come closer to each other, energy released, and that energy known as lattice energy. As energy released, so this molecule become more stabilized. So for the formation of a ionic bond, metal donates its electron, non-metal accept electron. After donating and accepting, metal become positively charged, non-metal become negatively charged. Now metal and non-metal get combined and energy released, and this energy released in the form of lattice energy. Higher the energy will released, compound will become more stabilized. So ionic bond is formed by the complete transfer of electron between metal and non-metal. I am just taking some more example of this ionic bond. Moving toward MgCl2. You can see how the formation of ionic bond occur in MgCl2. Mg is 282 and Cl is 287. Mg want to lose 2 electron and Cl want to accept one more electron. Mg have 2 electron in valence shell, and by donating these 2 electron, magnesium will become Mg plus 2. Mg plus 2 is 28 and this will be like neon, become more stabilized. And by accepting one more electron, Cl will become Cl minus and it will become 288, means it will become like argon. So Cl want to accept one more electron to get stability of argon for getting stability. This is Cl. Cl contains 7 electron in valence shell. This Cl contains 7 electron in valence shell, like this. Now magnesium donating 1 electron to this Cl and transferring 1 electron to this Cl. Now you can see Mg become Mg plus 2. Mg plus 2 is this one. Cl become Cl minus and Cl minus become argon. Both get stabilized. When cation and anion come closer to each other, energy released in the form of lattice energy and molecule become stabilized. Now this molecule become stabilized energy released, this is the energy released, and that energy released known as lattice energy. Now I think this is clear to all of you. Similarly, you can explain how the formation of ionic bond may occur in Al2O3. You can see Al2O3. I am just writing Al2O3. Aluminium is 283. Oxygen is 26. Aluminium will like to remove 3 electron, to donate 3 electron, and oxygen will like to get 2 more electron for getting neon inert gas configuration like neon. Both will become in the form of neon after donating and losing the electron, and both will become stabilized. So now what happened? This aluminium have 3 electron in valence shell. This aluminium have 3 electron in valence shell. Oxygen have 6 electron in valence shell. This oxygen have 6 electron in valence shell again, and one another oxygen like this. Now this aluminium make complete transfer of 2 electron to this oxygen. This oxygen become negatively charged, become -2. This aluminium transfer 2 electron to this oxygen, it become -2, and 1 electron from each aluminium, now 2 electron total, and they transferring electron to this oxygen, now this become -2, and both aluminium become +3 as they are transferring 3 electrons each aluminium. You can see right now how the formation of ionic bond may occur in Al2O3. So these are the example by which we can find how the formation of ionic bond occur in NaCl, MgCl2 and Al2O3. And the driving force behind the formation of ionic bond to get inert gas configuration for stability by complete transfer of electron between metal and non-metal. Now we are going to discuss what is the basic criteria behind the formation of this ionic bond. Now conditions for the formation of ionic bond. Condition for the formation of ionic bond. Formation of ionic bond. So what are the conditions for the formation of ionic bond? We are going to discuss this one. So first condition, and very important condition, ionization energy of metal. Ionization energy of metal should be minimum. Should be minimum. For the formation of ionic bond, ionization energy of metal should be minimum. Now metal transferring its electron. So this metal become positively charged. It transfer an electron. To remove an electron from a metal, energy required, that energy is known as ionization energy. And that ionization energy should be minimum. And second point, delta EGH, electron gain enthalpy of non-metal should be maximum. Should be maximum. Now X is non-metal, and this accept an electron transferred by this metal, and by accepting this electron, this X become negatively charged, and the total change in energy is known as electron gain enthalpy. So this ionization energy should be minimum, and this electron gain enthalpy should be maximum. And the third important condition, lattice energy of compound, lattice energy of compound should be maximum. Should be maximum. So lattice energy should be maximum. Now by removing electron, we get metal, positively charged metal. By accepting electron, this become negatively charged non-metal. Now this is positively charged metal in gaseous phase. This is negatively charged non-metal in gaseous phase. Both these two get combined to form solid, that is n mole of mx solid, and the energy released, and that energy released is known as lattice energy. This negative sign means energy released. As maximum energy released means compound become more stabilized. So for the formation of ionic bond, ionization energy of metal should be minimum, electron gain enthalpy of non-metal should be maximum, and the lattice energy of the compound should be maximum, and the total change in energy during the formation of ionic bond, that is E ionic. E ionic means energy of ionic bond, that is equal to ionization energy plus electron gain enthalpy plus lattice energy. So this is the total change in energy during the formation of ionic bond. I think everyone is getting what I am trying to explain. So earlier we have discussed how the formation of ionic bond occur, and now we are discussing what are the basic condition for the formation of ionic bond. I think this is clear to all of you. Now we will discuss what will be the formula of a ionic bond by combining of different metals and non-metals. I am just taking, suppose this is metal, this is non-metal, general formula, and examples. I am just writing a table for all of you. You can see everyone. Now I am taking metal from group first, group second, and group 13. Group first contain +1, group second contain +2, group 13 contain +3. And I am taking non-metal from group 17, and group 17 is -1. Again this is group 17, group 17. So the general formula will be mx, +1 and -1. In this case general formula will be mx2, and in this case general formula will be mx3. I am taking example, this is NaF, MgF2 and AlF3, like this. Again this is from group first, group second, this is again group first, group second, and group 13. This is again +1, +2 and +3. And I am taking non-metal from group 16, group 16, and group 16 is -2. All of you know, for example oxygen is -2. Now in this case you will form formula M2X. This is +2, this is -2, here you will get mx, and this is +3, this is -2, so you will get M2x3, like this. I am taking example, you will find Na2O, MgO, Al2O3. So when you will take metal from this group, non-metal from this group, what will be the general formula? You can find very easily by this table. One more example. Metal is from again group first, group second, group 13, +1, this is +2, this is +3, and non-metal is from group 15, Group 15 is -3. Again group 30. Now you will get formula like this. This is M3x. This is +2. This is -3. So now in this case you will get M3x2. And in this case this you will find general formula like Mx. Now example is Na3n, Mg3n2, and this is now you will get Mg3n2, and in this case you will get this is Aln, aluminium nitride. So these are the basic formulas for a ionic compound if it is formed by that metal and non-metal, metal of a particular group and non-metal of a particular group. So such type of question has been asked in different examination like IIT, JEE and NEET, and you have to find the general formula formed by this metal and this non-metal. So this is the basic criteria. Now we have discussed how the formation of ionic bond occur, what is the basic condition for the formation of ionic bond, and how you can derive the formula of a ionic compound with the help of different metals and different non-metals. Now we are going to discuss how we can compare the bond strength of various ionic compounds. Bond strength of various ionic compounds. Now bond strength of ionic compound, bond strength of ionic compounds. Now bond strength of ionic compound decided by lattice energy. Decided by lattice energy. And what is the lattice energy? Now we have to define what is the lattice energy. Now lattice energy is the amount of energy released when a gaseous cation and gaseous anion brought closer to each other. Lattice energy is the energy released. So now this is the exothermic process. Now what is the basic definition of ionic bond? What is the basic definition of lattice energy? So it's very simple. Lattice energy is the energy released when a gaseous cation and gaseous anion brought closer to each other from infinite distance to form 1 mole of ionic solid. Again, it is defined as energy released when gaseous cation, gaseous anion brought closer to each other to form 1 mole of ionic solid. Now lattice energy is similar to electrostatic force of attraction. We can formulate this lattice energy, and the formula of lattice energy is, this is minus means energy released, minus 1 upon d q1 into q2 upon radius of cation plus radius of anion. Q1 is the charge on cation, charge on cation. Q2 is the charge on anion. R is the radius. RC is the radius of cation, R is the radius of anion, and D is a constant value that is known as dielectric constant. Dielectric constant. So this is the basic definition of lattice energy. Energy released when a cation and anion brought closer to each other to form 1 mole of ionic solid, and this is now exothermic. Now lattice energy may be endothermic also. It may be endothermic also. How it become endothermic? Suppose I am taking a ionic compound Mx, and I have to break this ionic compound Mx into M plus N, M plus. We have to break this ionic compound into M plus gaseous and X minus gaseous. Now energy is required, and that energy is known as lattice energy. So lattice energy will become endothermic in this process. So lattice energy may also be defined as amount of energy required to break 1 mole of ionic solid into corresponding cation and anion. Again, it is defined as energy required to break 1 mole of ionic solid into gaseous cation and gaseous anion. So now this process become endothermic. In this case, you can take same formula, but this negative charge become positively charged. In this case, this lattice energy will be this is 1 upon d q1 into q2 upon radius of cation plus radius of anion. Now this become positively charged, as this is now endothermic process. So you can define lattice energy in both ways, in exothermic manner, in endothermic manner, in both ways. In this case it is exothermic, in this case it is endothermic. Now for the formation of ionic bond, lattice energy should be maximum, and as I have told you earlier, bond strength of ionic bond decided by lattice energy. Greater the value of lattice energy, higher will be the bond strength of the ionic compound. And how we can explain the variation of lattice energy? It's so simple. So you can see lattice energy is directly proportional to product of charge and inversely proportional to radius of cation or anion. As the product of charges increases, lattice energy increases. As size decreases, lattice energy increases. Now variation of lattice energy can be explained very easily. Number 1, lattice energy is directly proportional to product of charge. And number 2, lattice energy is inversely proportional to size. Number 3, lattice energy is directly proportional to bond energy and bond strength. Bond energy and bond strength. 1 minute. Higher the lattice energy, greater will be the bond strength, so the melting point of the compound will be high. Now, 4th point, lattice energy is directly proportional to hardness of compound. And 5th point, lattice energy is directly proportional to melting point of the ionic compound. So with the help of lattice energy, we can explain bond energy, bond strength, hardness and melting point. And how the variation of lattice energy will take place? It's very easy. Lattice energy is directly proportional to product of charges and inversely proportional to size. So this is how we can explain the variation of lattice energy. Now I am giving some example to all of you. Suppose we have to compare bond strength among titanium carbide, scandium nitride, magnesium oxide, sodium fluoride. It's very easy. Now we have to explain bond strength, hardness and melting point. So these can be explained with the help of lattice energy. And as I have told you earlier, lattice energy is directly proportional to product of charge and it is inversely proportional to size. Now you can compare the product of charge. This is +1, this is -1, this is +2, this is -2, this is +3, this is -3, this is +4 and -4. Now product of charge is maximum in titanium carbide, so the lattice energy is maximum in this case, and this is the decreasing order, and again this is the decreasing order of bond strength, hardness and melting point. So this is how you can explain. Similarly, suppose I am taking calcium oxide and calcium fluoride and potassium fluoride. Again, you have to explain all these. Now you can explain very easily. This is plus 2, minus 2, this is plus 2, this is minus 1, this is plus 1, this is minus 1. Now you can see the lattice energy of calcium oxide is maximum and potassium fluoride is minimum. Similarly, suppose I take compound NaF, MgF2 and AlF3. Now in this case you can explain the variation of lattice energy. This is plus 3 minus 1, this is plus 2 minus 1, this is plus 1 minus 1, like this. So this is how you can explain the variation of lattice energy, variation of bond strength, hardness and melting point. Now again, suppose I am taking compound like sodium fluoride, potassium fluoride, rubidium fluoride, cesium fluoride, and you have to explain again bond energy. So now product of charge are same. This is plus 1 minus 1, this is plus 1 minus 1, this is plus 1 minus 1, this is plus 1 minus 1. Now we will consider size as a factor. Fluoride is common in all. Now this is the Na plus, K plus, rubidium plus, cesium plus, size of cation getting larger. And for the higher lattice energy, size should be smaller. So sodium fluoride have high lattice energy. It means sodium fluoride have high bond energy and melting point. Similarly, you can explain magnesium oxide, calcium oxide, strontium oxide and barium oxide. You can see product of charge are same among all. Now size will be the deciding factor. Oxygen is common in all these oxides. Now magnesium is smaller cation, calcium is larger, strontium is more larger, barium more larger. It means lattice energy of barium oxide is minimum and magnesium oxide is maximum. So this is how you can explain bond strength, melting point, hardness of ionic compound. But one thing that you have to keep in your mind, lattice energy is not always applicable for the explanation of hardness and melting point. Lattice energy is applicable when anions are smaller. Anions are smaller. That is second period anions. Second period anions. For example, C minus 4, N minus 3, O minus 2, F minus, etc. If anions are larger, if anions are larger, then melting point and bond strength decided by Fajans rule. It is very important point. So lattice energy is not applicable everywhere for the determination of hardness, bond strength and the melting point. Lattice energy is applicable when anions are smaller, that is second period anions. If anions are larger, that is from third period and onward, then melting point, hardness and bond strength will be decided by Fajans rule, that is polarization rule. We will discuss this Fajans rule in the next classes. So now you can get idea where lattice energy is applicable, where it is not applicable. So lattice energy is applicable only when anions are smaller. So I have explained you type of bonds, ionic bonds, condition for the formation of ionic bond, empirical formula for an ionic compound, and how you can explain bond strength of various ionic molecule. In the next class, we will discuss how we can explain the solubility of ionic compounds in water with the help of lattice energy and hydration energy. Then we will discuss chemical bonds, covalent bond and coordinate bond. Then after we will discuss Fajan's rule and hybridization. So that's all for today. Thank you very much.